I'm sure we've all been in that situation where you're talking to someone and you have to ask them to repeat themselves twice, and then 3 times. And then at that point, you just decide to take your best guess and respond. Maybe you choose to smile and nod. Well, turns out it was a question. This happens to me a lot. Like a lot. Ask any of my friends and they will all be able to imitate the Allie didn't hear you but is pretending that she did face. It is because of continuous, frustrating scenarios like this that I decided to finally make the tough decision and get a hearing aid. When I arrived at my 4th grade annual doctor's checkup, I was naive to the changes that would result from that day. I nailed my vision test with a 20/20, which boosted my confidence as I headed into the hearing test. I put in the headphones and I clicked the buttons as I heard the beeps. I thought I was doing great. I was already daydreaming about the delicious vanilla Chick-fil-A milkshake that my mom promised me before returning to school. The nurse's concerned looks, unfortunately, interrupted my joyous thoughts. She walked me back to the room and informed my mom and I that I had missed a considerable amount of beeps. I was confused, but more than that, I was concerned that this would delay my milkshake. Luckily, she said that it was probably nothing, but that just in case, I should go see a hearing specialist to run a couple more tests. Well, turns out it wasn't nothing. A couple more doctor's visits and a few milkshakes later, it turned out to be what they feared. I have EVA, which means enlarged vestibular aqueduct. Now, when I heard that for the first time, it meant just as much to me as I'm sure it does to all of you. Basically, all I know is that I have a hearing loss that's been developing since the time I was born until it became noticeable in the 4th grade, and considerably more in recent years as social expectations become more apparent. You know, it's not exactly appreciated when you ask someone to repeat themselves 4 times. I am so blessed and so fortunate, though, to have such amazing friends and family in my life who have supported me through this process. Particularly, I would like to thank Emma. She's helped me so much, and I cannot thank her enough. Getting a hearing aid was an overwhelming and frankly embarrassing idea that was too overwhelming for me to consider. It wasn't until my doctor told me that if I didn't get one, there was a chance that I could lose the ability to hear certain sounds and frequencies entirely. You know, I've been super nervous to present this today, not because of the public speaking aspect, but because I decided that I would share a very personal part of my life that I've hidden for almost a year now. When I initially agreed to join this TEDx conference this year, I'd only told my closest friends and family and couldn't even fathom the idea of telling a giant room filled with strangers, my judgmental peers, and anyone who might be watching online. Now you may be wondering why I decided to put aside my fears and tell you all about the impact and force of words. But first, let me tell you about the judgments and why I was scared. I have countless friends who have sight issues and need glasses, but instead, they decide to wear at first painful contacts, or they decide to squint at the board every day instead of wearing their glasses that might set them apart from others. Now let me tell you something else. Glasses in teenagers is a little bit more common than, say, a hearing aid. The idea of anyone other than an elderly man telling you that they have a hearing aid is so foreign to so many, there's no telling how you might react if I told you. Now, despite all this, I've decided to put aside my fears of judgments to tell you all about the impact and the force of words on my life. Nobody deserves to have their ability to communicate inhibited. Hearing loss isn't just missing sounds. It's the loss of inclusivity. It's missing the climax in your friend's story in a group conversation. It's trying so hard to focus on one person's voice at a time. It's being corrected and laughed at for commenting on something that you misheard. It's choosing to always sit on the left side of the classroom. It's also having to sit at the only remaining seat at a group dinner on the right side of the table, knowing that you're already doomed to be excluded. And these are just some of my experiences with a partial hearing loss. Imagine those who are fully deaf. Communication is a vital part of our lives that we all take for granted. My goal for us all today is to appreciate the ease with which you may communicate, as well as empathize with and accommodate those who may struggle. I also challenge you all to consider the ways in which you do communicate, as well as consider new ways in which you could, just as Emma and I have. Thank you.
I, in turn, am incredibly grateful to Allie because learning of her hearing loss in the 9th grade inspired me to learn about how those who are hard of hearing communicate. By the 10th grade, I started to stand next to Allie so I could repeat the things to her that she was missing out on in group conversations. By 11th, I took it a step further, and I spontaneously decided to purchase an online sign language course called Lingvano, and I quickly convinced her to learn it with me. We FaceTimed every night, quizzing each other on the signs and racing through the alphabet, and we were shocked at how many sentences we could put together by a week, and then a month, and then 6. Sign language was unlike any foreign language I had encountered before, where it takes about a week of classes to get through things like greetings or the alphabet. Now, I was able to sign things like my parents drive home by the end of the 3rd day. And this was not due to me being some sort of sign language genius or anything, but instead my intense need to learn more about it and how easy it was to grasp the language at first. And while some of it was certainly easy to pick up, there are definitely aspects of sign that I struggled with, like the order of the words or how to differentiate between signs that were so similar. And while Allie and I were learning sign language out of enjoyment rather than necessity, I, like most, was naive to the fact that we all may have to put sign language into full use someday. The World Health Organization predicts that by 2050, about 2.5 billion people will have some degree of hearing loss. That means 1 in every 10 people will be impacted by this affliction. And by the time our generation turns 75, 50% of people we know will have a hearing loss. This is due to factors like population age increase, meningitis, trauma to the ear or head, ototoxic medicines, and nutritional deficiencies. Not to mention, according to a New York Times article, those AirPods that we all love so much, those are a large factor as well, because most headphones are only supposed to go up to about 85 decibels, but many go unregulated during production, and exposure to 100 decibels is safe for just 15 minutes at a time. How long do you listen to your own music? Is it less than 15 minutes at a time? So turn to the person next to you. One of you will struggle to hear. Because of frightening and honest statistics like this, and the introduction of Allie's hearing loss into my life, I went down a path that will forever change who I am. Since devoting myself to learning sign, I've dedicated many hours studying linguistics, studying a language with my hands, and trying to understand what it would be like to be part of the deaf community. And what I've learned is that it's not easy. Try and break down your own day-to-day life and consider the way in which it would be altered if you were deaf. You wouldn't even be able to wake up to the sound of an alarm clock in the morning, but instead, a device that creates strong enough vibrations and light to wake you up. You wouldn't be able to listen to music in the car ride on the way to school. There would be no easy whispering with friends during assembly. Your life would be altered in each and every way. When you consider yourself in this position, how do you feel? Alone? Frustrated? Silenced? Since we will all certainly experience this in our lives, whether directly or by proxy, I can say that I feel assured in my own unknown future every day, as I know Allie does, that we are equipped with the knowledge and addition of sign language in our lives to keep moving forward, one sign at a time. Thank you.